Hello, everybody. Welcome in to Jen and I's little weekly convo on all things human design. Jen and I actually went to the 4-year International Human Design School. Believe it or not, that's how in-depth human design is. Like, we did it right? And had such a good time. And I think we were the only two from the US in our class, right? If I remember right. I mean, it was really interesting, but we obviously, this is our passion. This is what we both now do for a living, sharing this out with others, and we talk all the time. And we just thought it would be fun to let you in on some of our conversations, just to give you a deeper understanding of human design and how it can change your life. If you don't have your chart, if you're watching this and going, what is human design exactly? I mean, how would you describe it? It's probably the most spot on personality assessment you could ever have because it's tied to your genetics. I mean, what would you say, Jen?
Yeah, I say astrology took a snapshot of the universe the moment you were born. And this couples it with the I Ching and brings it into our bodies. So it's an embodied archetype of the energies and um, the study of the planets, but it's in our body now so that we can be our own authority. And to have a map of that is priceless. It's just priceless.
Is it's like you're ahead of the game instead of being hammered by the game.
That's good. Yeah, yeah.
And the I Ching basically, just so you guys know, it correlates exactly with the 64 codons in our DNA code. So, oh, there you go. That is the I Ching book. But
One of
it's
them.
very
Yeah.
fascinating. One of them, right? Yeah. It goes so in depth. So, anyways, yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. And today we're going to be talking about how to make aligned choices and when to take action, like, we get up in our heads and we go around the hamster wheel about, big commitments of our time and our energy. And this is just going to be, like Jen said, like helping you really hone in so that when you are making decisions and, committing your energy to something, you're doing it in an aligned way. So you've got mind, body, energy, all working together. That's when you do things and you feel like, man, I am in the zone. Things are just flowing. This is smooth. Synchronicities are happening. Like, we're going to give you a little backdoor secret into how to make that happen. So, Jen, do you want to talk a little bit about the difference between to do or to wait in human design?
Yeah. It's so interesting to me. I just imagine if you're a surfer out in the ocean, as a human making decisions in your life. And we're so programmed to use our head. This is my wave. This is my wave. I want to swim all the waves. I'm going to be the best surfer, deciding with our brain how it should look and feel and having these hopes and dreams of what it needs to look like and initiating. That's the old way. That doesn't that's not since 1781 the way we are, according to human design system, built to make decisions. So in the human design system, when we have a motor, one of the four motors, I'm going to show you a picture of that, connected to the throat, we're a mode to do. That doesn't mean to do without awareness or just to do just unconsciously, but you're in gear and the foot is on the gas pedal and you're designed to do. If you don't have a motor to the throat, you're designed to wait for which wave is appropriate or the right one. Even though they all look good, even though they're all enticing and exciting, they're not all correct for you. So to look at your chart in terms of what's connected to the throat, where we manifest our life, and if it's a motor, a do, and what's not, where are we split, where is our design split or not connected to the throat, and how can we love waiting or being. I like being better. Do you like being better?
I love being, because I think it's just you can relate with it more. And I know when you talk to people about waiting, I mean, this is such an instantaneous like world we live in now. Like people do not want to wait for anything. And so it can sound a little like, wah, wah, what do you mean I gotta wait? But when you are just being and you're letting life come to you, right? And you're being discerning because you're allowing that space, when you are presented with something, instead of feeling that scattered, like you said, like I'm chasing after all the things. And why? Oh, because my neighbor, has that and they seem happy. So maybe if I force my way into that, like that will bring me happiness. But if you just, kind of work on filling your cup up and giving yourself, these up levelings and awareness, like what we're doing today and what we're sharing with you, then when you are, presented with something, that you've drawn that in. You don't have 20 decisions to make in a hot second, so you start just making spontaneous decisions for the wrong reasons. Like, maybe it makes you feel safe, or maybe like you feel like you're of value when you, say you're going to bake 30 cupcakes for the PTA conference, or, whatever it is. But you're not really actively, honoring yourself and your energy, right? Like you're overcommitting and you're scattered and you're not effective. I think when you are in a place of being, it's more of a sovereign place where you are like, where am I? Who am I going to bless with my energy today? Who gets my energy? What gets my energy?
I like that. Yeah, yeah, it's perfect, Katie. Because I think of the flower as being, and it's not doing anything. It's making the petals, it's pushing up through the earth. It's not doing anything, but it is not pushing out. It's being, and it's waiting for a bee who's doing to come to it, to come to it, to come to it and pollinate.
That's a
So
great.
there's beauty in the busyness. Thank God for the bee. And there's beauty in the flower. Thank God for the flower being.
And there's
I,
a time for both,
we need both.
because
We need both, or nothing happens.
yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times we have both to some extent in our design, or even if it's not in our design, think of chemistry. When you bump into somebody, your energy fields and nervous systems are overlaid, right? So, that's why you have 5 friends, and a lot of times you connect with each one in a unique way. It's you're activating things in each other's field. Maybe you could show the chart. You said you had a chart handy, like that way people could see
I'm
when
going
you.
to start with this one that's a reflector that we call it. And it's shiny in this, but this is this person that has no centers defined.
And
Meaning,
centers are all those little boxes and squares.
yeah, all these little triangles and squares and diamonds. And this person, we call it a reflector. 2% of the world, right, is a reflectors. These people, sometimes when the planets do their thing, as they're always doing their thing, it's going to light up one of this gate. And when you have two gates making a channel, it lights up the centers on either side. So sometimes this person that has no centers with a Teflon aura watching the world, well, they're going to sometimes feel to do. Well, I'm a doer. I'm a doer. Ooh, like 3 days later, they are a beer. And so it can be super confusing. Why is the energy of the world off or on, or the pressure off or on? But that's what the reflectors get so good at, is mitigating the changing temperament of the planets and of the people that are around them by not taking any of it personally. But they're getting really good at knowing when to be on the gas and not be on the gas. Do you know reflectors, Katie?
Okay, like she said, they're like 2%, I call them the unicorns because, if you find one, it's like, wow. I mean, they are just wired completely differently. They are connected, they're lunar beings. And, that's what we're talking about, with the phases of the mood, it really, really impacts them deeply, where the rest of us are solar beings, right? So I have met a few, I've done a couple readings for reflectors, and it's so fascinating because, since they are so rare, like when I've come across a reflector, I'm automatically like, ooh, like, let me just dig in, to you. But I found that, I don't know if this is the best word, but like, their personalities can be a little muted, in that I have not, maybe I've met 4 or 5, but I have not seen like a huge reaction, to things from them that you might see with somebody that's got a lot of emotional definition. Because like you said, I think whether they're conscious of it or not, they're so sensitive to knowing that things are changing all the time. And each day you might wake up and feel a little differently, or, be in a different kind of way. And so, they're just built to be able to just take it in and just be happily surprised by like, oh, well, if I'm not feeling great now, like tomorrow's a new day, and like I'm just not going to take life too seriously, and I'm just going to sample, little pieces of everything, and then they're very even keeled. How about you? Do you know any reflectors?
I mean, Sandra Bullock's a reflector, but I don't know her. But yeah, this good friend of mine is a reflector, and she's young. So as a 20-year-old, not knowing her human design, it 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 can be very reactive, and because the planets are changing and they're so um open to the change, that it can just feel like, not schizophrenia necessarily, but it can feel like a lot if if you take it personally. And my friend does a little bit, I will say. And
Okay.
this gave her permission to go, oh, it's sometimes on, it's sometimes off. It's not even me, it's the universe, which is happening for all of us. But a reflector with all that openness can really get good at it,
Yeah.
you know? And then a projector, well, that's you and me.
Yeah, we're the projectors out there. And it's so funny because I was just having a conversation with a friend, for projectors. Like, human design gives you, based on your energy type, a specific strategy to help you, know how do I make choices, mind, body, spirit, all kind of lined up so I can stay in the zone and be effective. And so for projectors, for us, the strategy is to wait for the invitation, because we tend to be more guide type of energy. Like you said, I think I have no motors defined. So I am totally the flower, right? And if it, like my friend was saying, she, has this friend that's, just really everything's kind of fallen apart around her. And she just had bought a house sight unseen, and it really turned out to be a bad deal. And I think she's so overwhelmed now, she doesn't want to really hear any advice or let anybody else in. You kind of just get almost like embarrassed. So she wanted to give her, some advice about the house, and but her friend just wasn't in a place to really be able to hear it, and it was just going to create friction. And so she was, kind of asking me what to do about that. But it made me think, like, that to me sums up why projectors, it is a good idea to sit back and to wait, because we do naturally, we can see deeply into people. I mean, this, of course, this is why you and I, our passion is human design, and we learn about ourselves through learning about other people and how behavior works and all of that. So I was explaining to her, that's what really I have learned to do and be very good at, because even though you might have the right thing to do or to say, or the wisdom, if somebody isn't receptive, or like they didn't really ask for your opinion, if you just start spouting off, not only are you just giving your energy away and it's not really effective, but I mean, the other person is not really going to help them. but waiting and allowing, the right opportunities to come to you. I have learned the huge difference, as I know you have probably too. Like when I wait for people to come and say, hey, Katie, what do you think about this? They're open, they're ready, like whatever I say, the guidance I give them is going to land, and they're going to go, oh my gosh, thank you. Wow. And then I feel good. I feel like, I was seen, and I was, that's how my energy wanted to be used, versus, going, gosh, I just got my head bit off and I was just trying to like help.
Yeah. Yeah, you nailed it. I pulled up a reflector, I mean, a projector chart. Projector typically means that this second, or the sacral here, is undefined, meaning this is life force and power and energy and sexuality. And so when it's undefined like that, it's infinity. It's amplifying the energy of others. And this is where we meet the world, in this center. So for manifestors, this is undefined, and projectors, it's undefined. And of course, reflectors, it's undefined too. But that gives us this obsession or curiosity about the energy of others. And the no motor to the throat, some projectors have a motor to the throat, right? Oh, no, that would make them a manifestor.
You don't have one, right?
No, you would be a manifestor if you had a motor to the throat and an open sacral. So I'm going to say all projectors are designed to wait. And what you said, Katie, was perfect. It's a frequency match. We're kind of, with this amplified seeing everyone's energy, can give you a lot of answers, you know? And I have 2 out of the 4 motors defined in my chart. So it's very busy in my body, but none of the motors get to my throat, which would make me a manifester. So waiting, I had someone do a reading for me, and he goes, I looked at your website, and you've been conditioned by a doer, and you're doing and doing and doing. And I went, oh, I've been doing. So it is fascinating. Since
How did
January.
that feel to you? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just went, exactly right. I mean, so I quit my job as a personal trainer. I quit managing the gym that I owned. I just went, I'm gonna practice this, and everything's fine. The phone rings when it's supposed to. It
Yep.
is, instead of trying, I'm gonna say it's trying versus allowing.
Yes, yes. I
There's a
love
magic in that. I don't know. I'm not, this is just for the waiters, you know? So say it, talk about a manifester who has to,
Yeah,
um,
I mean, because you mentioned manifestors, and so yeah, you've got a motor that's going to the throat. So I mean, really, the manifestors are here to initiate, right? To be the leaders, taking that first step, paving the way, right, for the rest of us, with their ideas, and then handing the baton off, to the generators, the projectors, and then taking that time to rest and recharge, and doing it again. But it's different for every single person, depending on how you're wired too, because even if you are, like we're talking about, like a projector or manifestor that doesn't have like that sacral definition, I mean, there are certain gates and things that that can still give you that urge, or just that essence of really wanting to kind of jump out and be spontaneous and, just take action. But for manifestors, I mean, they are, it's an interesting balance of knowing, when you follow the right sparks, right? Versus when you are in that recharge phase of taking time before you start something new.
yeah, depending on what motor gets to the throat, of course, is what, is going to be the impetus for the doing. But my mom is a manifester, an emotional willpower manifester to the throat.
Both emotional and willpower.
Yeah.
Woo, Lordy.
Boom, to the throat. So it's so important to know if that's your design, because you don't have to defend it. Now, she can never be a waiter. She can never be a beer, because that's her definition. A person that is a weight person or a B person sometimes will get the transits or the people that define the sacral or take a motor to the throat. And we can ride that energy and use that energy. I mean, it's not ours, right? Just borrowing it, but we can use that. But my mom is always a doer and she can't understand, why are you not doing something? Why are you not doing? We're conditioned in that way. So it was profound for me to realize the habits and the patterns that were successful as a child and now as an adult were conditioned. Who am I really? Who are you really? You guys write in your questions and say, wait, I have what are the motors? Root, sacral, emotional center, solar plexus, and the will power. If those get to the throat, you're a doer. If you don't have a motor to the throat, you're a waiter or a beer. So
I
yeah,
mean, didn't you say I love that your mom is a manifester, because yes, she's always in that, initiating kind of energy, but even manifestors, they can't be initiating all the time, like, I mean, she'd get burnt out. Have you ever
right.
seen her like hit a wall, or because she's just constantly do, start, and or I've had manifestors that tell me what happens is they end up starting 4 different things. They're great at starting things, right? But then they get kind of like over, like, whoa, wait, now what do I can't finish all of this stuff. And then, start beating yourself up like, oh gosh, I never get anything finished, like I always start it, I never get it done. What's been your experience with your mom?
She is in a zone, just busy, 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 doing all day, doing bridge, doing computers. So to them, this is my understanding, it that's their piece, is their zone of doing. And it's not all big projects. It's just be looking at her emails, but it's a doing energy. And if she gets a phone call, that interrupts the zone, which brings and why are you calling? It just interrupts the peace. Is manifestors, the motor to the throat doesn't like to be interrupted because they're in that zone. Hence the aura of that repelling.
Yeah,
It
close.
protects that peace for them. Mm-hmm. So I always text first. Hey, call me when you get a sec.
And she's initiating the call. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm informing that I'm ready for her to call me. They like to
Mhm.
be informed and they like to inform, or they need to inform.
That's great. No, that's really, really helpful. I love that you've got your mom to draw on, because manifestors are one of the rarer types,
Yeah.
just about 10% of the population are manifestors. So yeah, when you meet some of these, rarer types, it's always very interesting to, see how life looks for them. And then we also have the other final energy type are generators.
Yeah.
And generators are literally the doers. I mean, like you were showing in that chart, that sacral center, if that is ever colored in, we call it defined in your body graph, you are automatically a generator. You can see the second square from the bottom is red. Yeah, you're automatically a generator. And I always think of, I don't know if anybody remembers the Energizer Bunny from the battery commercial, the Energizer battery.
Yeah.
The bunny that was just always going, because the name, generator, you guys have this consistent, reliable access to this creative energy that is really here to build, you are the life force of our planet. Because I tell generators, when you are lit up and you are like in the zone, aligned, whatever, and you're doing work that you love and creating and building, not only do you light yourself up, but you light every other person in the room up, anybody around you, you're just jazzed. And then next thing you know, your energy is contagious, and, the person next to you is jazzed. And so really the generators are the ones that move us forward as like, for humanity, for the world, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And they're divided into these two groups, generators and manifesting generators. So if you have a motor to the throat and you have a defined sacral, you're a manifesting generator designed to do. a warrior, Buddha, they say. If you're a generator, you have a motor because you have the sacral at least, but it doesn't get to the throat, or you'd be a manifesting generator. So in some way, you're designed to wait with all that energy and all that juice and all that energizer bunny. Doesn't mean that you can access it by yourself. You're waiting for a person to come in or a planet to come in. You're waiting. You're with the world in that space. And then life force is able to get to the throat and do. So it just really, what do they say? Manifesting generators, the warrior Buddha. Manifesting generators, but be the Buddha first. Respond and then warrior. So wait and then do, even though you're designed to do. But if you're a generator, that means you have motors, but they don't get to the throat. Buddha, which means wait for it to come to you so that you, something outside of you, can respond with your amazing, beautiful energizer bunny life force energy.
Totally.
All are beautiful. We need it all.
Yeah. And I mean, the generators are to me like the most magnetic energy type, because your energy is always just kind of drawing. You've got this really open and enveloping type of aura. You know, I think of it as like you're giving the world a big hug, right? And just bringing it into you. So, you know, when we're talking about waiting, it's not like, wait, what, I gotta just sit on the couch, like sit on my hands? Like, what do you mean? It's like stepping into your power and knowing you don't have to force your way into anything. You know, that's when you need to check yourself, and you're probably going to get frustrated. You're going to feel like you're hitting walls and why isn't this working out? But if you just trust that you're drawing the right people, the right places, you know, the right opportunities, and all you need to do is respond to what's in front of you, you know, just check in, drop into your gut. You know, now that we showed you where the sacral center is, you can just trust in any moment. You've got that instantaneous response of, you know, do I want to do this thing? You know, and you'd be surprised when you start asking yourself that, how many times when in your mind you think this is what I'm supposed to be doing, if you just drop in and you go, do I have the energy for this? How many times you'll hear a, no, I really don't want to do that thing.
Yeah.
It, you know, then you're not overcommitted and overscheduled and, you know, doing stuff for everybody else and not yourself, right? Just, it's all about putting yourself first.
Yeah. And getting honest with what's real, what's yours and what's the world. Knowing the difference.
That would be a great, next time we get on, we should talk about that. I love that because that's powerful. That's really powerful, like openness versus definition. So
Love it. That's our next talk. You guys, in the comments, if you would, just write what you are in the version of to do or to wait.
yes,
To do or to be. You know, I just love to hear what that is, you know. If you can figure it out. If you can't figure it out, I don't know, send a picture of a chart.
then we'll help you. And if you can't figure it out and you're putting it in the comments, how does that feel for you? But you know, like I always love to hear, because everybody has their own unique way of, oh, this is how, you know, it kind of happens for me. And then, you know, then when you read other people's stuff, like you're like, oh, that helps me understand it like so much better from all these different perspectives. So thank you.
So
Yes, that'll be fun. Well, we'll try to come on every week, just with something new and fun to talk about. And probably Mondays. Yeah. Yeah. So look for us next Monday, guys. And please share it out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next
Bye. Wait.
time.